Thank you, Jeff. This morning, many are waking up to see the damage around the plaza, and there are more protests planned for later today. Right now, Kansas City, Missouri Mayor Quinton Lucas joins us live via Zoom. Good morning, Mayor. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. We know it's been a long night, and it's going to be a long day. So, first question, Mayor. First of all, what are your thoughts about what you saw last night?
Well, I think that during the afternoon, we saw peaceful protest. We saw folks that were remembering the life of George Floyd and people that wanted to, frankly, improve relations between our Black community, our police, to make more justice in Kansas City and our region. In the evening, we saw things go to chaos. We saw that there was a dedicated group of people who I don't think were there to rally, were there to protest, but there were some who were there to just start trouble. And I don't know what the heck breaking windows at a cupcake store on the plaza has to do with creating a spirit of justice in our community. I don't think that folks that were trying to, break windows at restaurants or loot from businesses that have been closed for 2 months are actually worried about making any Black man in America's life any better. So I was frustrated to see it. I was frustrated to see people throwing frozen bottles of water at the police. I'm frustrated that we had to see our city join in far too many others throughout America last night and have something that's more insurrection than it was trying to find a course correction in how we handle justice in our country.
Mayor, you talked about the wrongdoers. We know that last night 50 people were arrested from those protests, and I know there has been concern from a lot of places about people coming from outside of our community creating the violence. Of the people who were arrested, how many of those people are actually from our area? Do you know?
At this point, we have not come up with that final list. We're probably going to have it at the beginning of the week. What we do know is there are a number who are from the region. There were a lot of folks that are from throughout Kansas and western Missouri. So it was more than just Kansas Cityans, those in KCMO. But we also know that there were folks who were part of organized associations that do this sort of thing, that try to sow chaos throughout our country. That's frustrating to me. And I think that what we will try to see today, what we'll hope for today, is that we avoid that. But I know there's some who are waking up this morning and saying, why do we have the National Guard? Well, one of the answers is, I think, because we have some other national organizations on the opposite side. I'd rather it just be people in Kansas City coming to solutions for how we can address Kansas City. And I hope we see that today.
I know that last night, watching the images that ran well into the night, we saw how police officers did their best to bring things under control, but it was very trying, and you talked about it, and we saw it live on television. Protesters throwing things at police and police officers doing their best to kind of get the situation under control. After watching what played out last night, what are your thoughts about how police handled things?
So first of all, let me talk to you about the rank and file officers last night. They did one hell of a job. Those folks stood there, taunts, took things thrown at them, all that sort of stuff. So if you have a problem with anything relating to tactics, right, that's not the choice that they were making. That's not their call, right? The officer who's standing on the street next to a group of hundreds of people, who stands there for hours, who's part of that for an entire day, that's not the one who's making a call on tear gas. That's not the one who's making a call on what to deploy or what type of weapons to bring. So we want to make that clear. Another thing that I think I will say is that, just like the vast majority of protesters are there doing outstanding work, I think anyone could say that our police officers yesterday did good work, right? Now, there will be disagreements. There will be things that we need to review. But most everybody's there trying to make sure voices can be heard. And on the other side, they're just trying to make sure people are safe and that they can do their job. And I think that's the way I want to focus on it, and I hope that that's what we see today as well.
And now the focus goes forward to later on today. What's being done to make sure that the protests that happened today are not a repeat of what we saw, unfortunately, last night?
Well, I think I can say a lot, right? And maybe I should, because I am the mayor, but I'll say this. It is going to be on people and what's in their hearts, too. If you really care about George Floyd's life and his tragic death, if you really care about the many names of unarmed Black men and women that we have seen die at the hands of the police throughout our country, then come and demonstrate peacefully. come and make sure your message can be seen. Come and make sure that on Monday morning rather than Sunday morning, we're talking about your message, not talking about broken glass, not talking about riots, not talking about a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with how we make our community better. So that's going to be my biggest point. There are going to be more police officers. We've got mutual aid with agencies around our city and our state, and frankly, even more help coming. But you know what? It's going to be about what people want to bring. And I hope they adhere to that message of peace, of protest, but of making sure we're making progress.
Certainly. Well, Mayor, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us this morning. We know that there's a press conference at noon, so we'll keep an eye on that and see everything that you'll be talking about going forward. But once again, Mayor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.